Hello, and welcome back to Engrammatic, the channel where English learning becomes simple, practical, and fun. I'm so glad you're here today because we are going to talk about something that every English learner wants: how to understand any English word without needing to open a dictionary. Yes, you heard that right. No dictionary needed. Just you, your ears, and your brain. By the end of this lesson, you will have a new skill that you can practice every single day, in every single conversation. But before we start, I have a small request for you. Please hit the like button if you find this topic useful, and don't forget to subscribe to Engrammatic so you never miss our weekly podcast-style lessons. Also, I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, what is one English word that always confuses you? Maybe it is a long word you saw in a book. Or maybe it is a simple word that just feels hard to use in conversation. Write it below, because I will read your comments and maybe use your words in our future lessons. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in this situation? You are speaking with someone in English, maybe a friend, maybe a teacher, maybe a colleague at work. Suddenly, they use a word you don't know. Your mind stops. Your face looks confused. You think, oh no, I don't know this word. I need to check my dictionary. But of course, in real conversations, there is no time. You cannot stop the conversation, pull out your phone, and search for the word. That would be strange, right? So what can you do? Do you just stay silent? Do you smile and pretend you understand? Or is there a better way? Today, I'm going to show you the better way. You can actually train your brain to understand words without a dictionary. This does not mean you will magically know the perfect dictionary definition every time. No, what it means is you will learn how to guess the meaning, how to feel the meaning, how to understand enough so that the conversation can continue. Because in real life, you do not need a perfect definition. You just need to understand the idea. And the good news is, this is a skill you can practice. The more you practice, the better you get. It's like exercising a muscle. At first, it feels difficult, but then after some weeks, you notice it becomes easier. So let's start with the first strategy. It is called context is king. What does this mean? It means the situation, the other words, the story around the word. All of this gives you clues. You don't need the dictionary because the context is telling you the meaning. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine I say, yesterday, Emily baked a cake, and the whole kitchen smelled delicious. Now, maybe you don't know the word baked, but can you guess what is happening? We have cake, we have kitchen, we have smelled delicious. So baked probably means cooking something in the oven. You don't need the dictionary. The sentence already tells you the story. Let's try another one. Listen carefully. I was so exhausted after running 5 miles that I fell asleep immediately. Now, maybe the word exhausted is new for you, but what are the clues? Running 5 miles and then falling asleep immediately. So exhausted must mean very tired. Again, you don't need to stop. You don't need to check your phone because the story tells you. I want you to think right now, can you remember the last time you heard a new English word? Where were you? What was the situation? Did you try to guess the meaning from the context? Or did you run to your dictionary? Write in the comments below, because your story might help another learner who is watching this video too. Now let me explain why this works so well. You see, our brains are naturally good at guessing. Children do this all the time when they are learning their first language. They hear adults use words, and even if they don't know the dictionary definition, they slowly understand from the situation. They don't stop their mother and say, "Excuse me, can you give me the Oxford Dictionary definition of that word?" No, they just listen, notice, guess, and over time they understand. And you, as an English learner, can use the same natural ability. But here is the problem: many learners never practice this. They become dependent on the dictionary. They think, if I don't know the meaning, I cannot continue. And that thought makes them nervous. It makes them freeze. It stops their progress. But what if you make a different choice? What if the next time you hear a new word, you say to yourself, "Wait, let me look at the context. Let me look at the other words. Let me look at the situation." If you do that, you will notice that maybe 70, 80, even 90% of the time you can guess the meaning correctly. And that is enough to continue the conversation with confidence. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, but teacher, what if I guess wrong? What if I misunderstand the meaning? That's a very good question. And here is the answer. In real conversations, you can always check. You don't need a dictionary. You can just ask the other person. For example, if someone says, "I had a really hectic day," and you don't know hectic, you can say, "Oh, hectic. Do you mean busy?" The person will either say, "Yes, exactly," or "Not busy, but similar." It means very busy, a little stressful. And look at that, you just learned a new word directly from a real human, not from a dictionary. So from now on, don't be afraid of guessing. Guessing is not wrong. Guessing is natural. Guessing is how language learning works. All right, so that is the first big strategy. Context is king. In the next part, we are going to look at another strategy that will help you understand English words without a dictionary. This one is about listening to the word itself, the sound, the shape, the little pieces inside the word. Even if the word is new, the pieces are not new. And when you understand the pieces, the whole word becomes easier. Stay with me, because this is where English starts to feel like a puzzle, and you will learn how to solve it. In the first part of today's lesson, we talked about our first big strategy: context is king. You learned that even if you don't know a word, the situation, the story, and the other words can help you understand the meaning. Now let's move to the second strategy. This one is powerful because it teaches you to look at the word itself. You see, words are like puzzles. Every word has pieces. These pieces are called roots, prefixes, and suffixes. Don't worry if those words sound difficult. We will make them very simple. A root is the main part of the word, the center. A prefix is a small part we put at the beginning. A suffix is a small part we put at the end. And the good news is, these small parts repeat again and again in English. So once you learn them, you can guess the meaning of many new words. Let me give you an example. Think about the word unhappy. Even if you never saw this word before, maybe you know the word happy. And un is a very common prefix in English. It means not. So unhappy means not happy. Easy, right? You don't need a dictionary. The pieces tell you the meaning. Another example, teacher. Maybe you know the verb teach. The suffix er means a person who does something. So teacher means a person who teaches. Again, no dictionary needed. Let's try a little practice together. I will give you a word and I want you to guess the meaning. Ready? The word is redo. Think. What does mean? You have probably seen it before. Words like rewrite, rebuild, replay. Yes, re means again. So redo means to do again. See how simple it can be. When you know just a few common prefixes and suffixes, suddenly hundreds of new words become clear. Now, I want to bring Emily into our conversation. Emily is one of my students, and she used to be afraid of long English words. Emily, can you share your story? Emily, yes, of course. I remember one day in class you wrote the word unbelievable on the board. At first I thought, oh no, this word is too long. I will never understand it. But then you showed me how to break it down. You said, look, believe is the root. You know that word. Then on means not, and able means possible, can do. So unbelievable means not able to believe. And suddenly I understood. It was easy. I didn't need a dictionary, just the pieces. Exactly. Thank you, Emily. That's the key. Break down the word. When you see a long word, don't panic. Don't say this is too hard. Instead, cut it into pieces. Look for the part you already know. Then use the prefix or suffix to guess the meaning. Now let's play a quick game. I will say 3 words and you try to break them into pieces. After a short pause, I will give you the answer. Ready? First word, disagree. What do you hear? Yes, the root is agree. The prefix is dis, and dis often means not or opposite. So disagree means not agree. Second word, careless. What do you hear the root is care? The suffix is less, and less means without. So careless means without care. Third word, preheat. The root is heat. The prefix is which means before. So preheat means to heat before. Did you get them right? If yes, great job. If not, don't worry. This is a skill you can practice every day. And the more you practice, the faster you will recognize the pieces. I want you to write in the comments right now. Can you think of one English word with a prefix or suffix that you know? Write the word, break it down into parts, and explain what it means. This way, you are not only learning, you are also teaching other learners in our community. Now, let me give you a little tip. You don't need to memorize every prefix and suffix in English. That would be boring and too difficult. Instead, focus on the most common ones. Let me share some with you now. Prefixes. On, not, again, before, just not opposite. Suffixes. Or a person who does something able, possible, can do. Less, without, full of. If you know just these, you can guess the meaning of hundreds of words. For example, hopeful means full of hope. Hopeless means without hope. Playable means possible to play. Player means a person who plays. See how many words suddenly become clear. And here is the best part. Once you learn these pieces, you will start to see them everywhere in books, in movies, in conversations. And every time you see them, your brain will make the connection. You will guess the meaning faster and faster. So remember, the second strategy is look inside the word, break it into pieces. Use the root, the prefix, and the suffix to guess the meaning. Now let's connect this with our next strategy. Because in real life, you don't always have time to think about prefixes and suffixes. Sometimes the word is completely new, and it doesn't have any familiar pieces. In that case, what do you do? This brings us to our third strategy: pay attention to tone and emotion. Words are not only about letters, They are also about sound, about the feeling in the speaker's voice, about the body language. And when you pay attention to these, you can often guess the meaning, even if the word itself is new. Stay with me, because in the next part, we will explore how your ears and your heart can understand words, even when your brain says, I don't know this one. Welcome back, friends. You're listening to Engrammatic, where English becomes clear, simple, and natural. So far, we've learned two important strategies. First, context is king, which means the situation around the word helps you understand. Second, look inside the word, where you break words into roots, prefixes, and suffixes. Now let's talk about the third strategy, tone and emotion. Here's the truth. Words are not only about letters or spelling. Words carry feeling. They carry sound rhythm music. When someone speaks, their tone of voice tells you a lot about the meaning. Even if you don't know the dictionary definition, you can still understand the emotion. And sometimes emotion is enough to keep the conversation alive. Let me show you an example. Imagine I say the word fantastic. Maybe you don't know this word yet, but if I say it with excitement, wow, that's fantastic. You can guess it means something very good, something positive. You don't need a dictionary. The tone of my voice tells you. Now imagine the opposite. I say, ugh, this traffic is terrible. Even if you don't know terrible, my tone of frustration, my sigh, my body language, all of that tells you it's something negative. Probably the opposite of good. So here's the key. Don't just listen to the word, listen to the music of the word, the emotion, the stress, the sound. Let's do a little role play with Emily. Emily, teacher, last week, I was talking with my American friend. She said, the food was disgusting. I didn't know the word disgusting, but the way she said it, her face looked unhappy and her voice was low. So I understood that it was something bad, maybe very bad. And I was right. She meant the food tasted very, very bad. Exactly, Emily. That's a perfect example. You see, even without a dictionary, you understood because you paid attention to tone and emotion. Now, I want to ask you, the listener, have you ever guessed a word's meaning just from the speaker's emotion? Think about a time when you heard a new word, but still understood the feeling. Share that story in the comments. It will help other learners see how powerful tone and emotion can be. Here's another activity you can try at home. Watch a short English movie scene or listen to a podcast. Choose one word you don't know. Don't pause, don't use a dictionary. Instead, listen carefully to how the actor or speaker says it. Is their voice happy, angry, surprised, relaxed? Write down your guess. Later, you can check the dictionary if you want, but first, trust your ears. This will train your brain to notice the emotional clues in real time. Let me share a few common tones and what they usually tell us. Excited, high energy, usually something good or surprising. Example, amazing. Sad, low energy, usually something negative. Example, awful. Angry, strong voice, usually something bad, unfair, or annoying. Example, ridiculous. Soft, gentle voice, often something kind or caring. Example, lovely. So even if the words are new, the emotion can guide you. Now here's a little secret sometimes. The sound of a word itself gives you a clue. For example, listen to the word tiny. Say it out loud, tiny. Doesn't it sound small? The sound itself feels small. Now compare it to the word gigantic. Say it gigantic. Doesn't it feel big, heavy, strong? This is not an accident. Many English words have a sound that matches their meaning. This is called sound symbolism. You don't need to remember the term, but you can notice it. Let's test this idea. Which word sounds bigger to you, minuscule or massive? Even if you don't know the sound of massive feels, larger, heavier. And you're right, massive means very big, while minuscule means very small. See, your ears and your intuition can guide you. Now, I know some of you may say, but teacher, this feels too much like guessing. What if I guess wrong? My answer is the same as before. Guessing is natural, and it's okay. Remember, in real conversations, communication is not about perfect dictionary definitions. It's about connection. If you understand the feeling, you can respond in a natural way. For example, if someone says, "This party is amazing," and you don't know amazing, but you hear the happy tone, you can respond, "Yes, it's really good." You connected. The conversation continues. Later, you can confirm the exact meaning if you want. But in the moment, emotion is enough. Let's do a quick challenge together. I'll give you 3 sentences. Don't worry about the new word. Just listen to the tone and guess if the meaning is positive or negative. Ready. Sentence 1. Wow, that concert was incredible. Positive or negative? Yes, positive. Sentence 2. Ugh, my boss gave me a ridiculous deadline. Positive or negative? Negative, of course. Sentence 3. She has such a delightful smile. Positive or negative? Positive, because of the gentle, warm tone. Did you get them right? If yes, great job. If not, don't worry. This is a skill you build over time. The important thing is to practice. So remember, our third strategy is pay attention to tone and emotion. Use your ears, your heart, and your eyes. Listen to the music of English, not just the words. Now, in the next part, we're going to explore another powerful strategy. This one is about using your imagination and connecting new words with pictures in your mind. When you hear a new word, your brain can create a little movie, a picture, or a story that helps you remember and understand it. This is one of the fastest ways to learn because our brains love images more than text. So stay with me because in part 4, we'll unlock the secret of turning English words into mental pictures you will never forget. In the last part, we talked about strategy number 3, paying attention to tone and emotion. You learned how sound, rhythm, and feelings can guide you to the meaning of a word even if you've never seen it before. Now let's move into our fourth strategy, use your imagination. I want you to think about this for a moment. When you hear the word dog, what happens in your mind? Do you see the letters DOG? Probably not. Instead, most people see a picture of a dog. Maybe a big brown dog, maybe a small white puppy. That image appears naturally. Why? Because our brains love pictures. We remember pictures more easily than words. This means you can use your imagination to understand and remember new words, even without a dictionary. When you hear a new word, don't panic, don't freeze. Instead, let your mind create a picture. That picture may not be perfect, but it will help you guess the meaning and remember the word later. Let's try an example. Imagine someone says, "Yesterday, I wandered around the city." Maybe the word wandered is new for you. Don't stop and think about spelling. Instead, imagine it. What could wander look like? The sentence says around the city. So maybe it means walking, maybe slowly, maybe without a clear plan. If you imagine yourself walking through streets, looking at shops, not rushing suddenly, the word wander makes sense. See how imagination works. Let's do another one. She whispered a secret to me. Maybe you don't know whispered. Close your eyes. Imagine the situation. Someone tells a secret. Do they shout it loudly? No. They speak softly, quietly near your ear. That's whisper. You didn't need a dictionary. You needed a picture in your mind. Now, I want to bring Emily back for a moment. Emily, can you share how you used imagination to learn a new word? Emily. Yes. I remember the first time I heard the word slippery. I didn't know it. But I imagined myself on a wet floor trying to walk and my feet sliding. That picture helped me guess the meaning. Later, I checked and I was right. Slippery means something smooth where it's easy to slide. That's wonderful, Emily. And this is exactly the skill I want you to practice. Whenever you hear a new word, immediately imagine a little movie in your mind. Don't focus on the letters. Focus on the picture. Here's a quick activity for you listening right now. I'll give you a sentence with a new word. Your job is to create a mental picture. Ready? Sentence 1. The children giggled during the movie. What picture do you see? Maybe kids laughing softly, covering their mouths. Yes, giggled means small, playful laughter. Sentence 2. He trudged home after the long day at work. What do you imagine a man walking slowly, tired, heavy steps? Yes, trudged means walking in a slow, heavy way. Sentence 3. The flowers blossomed in spring. What do you see? Flowers opening, colors spreading, nature waking up. That's right, blossomed means to bloom, to open. See how pictures help you. Even if the word is new, your imagination guides you. Now, here's something interesting. Research in psychology shows that people remember images much better than text. This is called the picture superiority effect. Don't worry about the name. What matters is this. If you connect a word with a strong picture, you will remember it much longer. So here's a little challenge for you. Take 5 new English words this week. For each one, draw a simple picture in your notebook. Don't worry if you are not an artist. Even a stick figure or a small symbol works. What's important is that you make the connection. Later, when you hear the word again, your brain will say, "Oh yes, I know this, I can see it." And here's another fun activity. Act out the word. Use your body. For example, if the word is jump, actually jump. If the word is whisper, pretend to whisper. If the word is sleepy, close your eyes and pretend to yawn. These little actions make the meaning stronger in your memory. It's like giving your brain a movie to watch and a body to feel. Now, I want to ask you, what is one English word that you learned by using imagination or pictures? Write it in the comments. Maybe you imagine storm with rain and thunder. Maybe you imagine delicious with your favorite food. Share your example because your story can inspire another learner. So let's review quickly. The fourth strategy is use your imagination. Turn words into pictures, movies, or actions. The stronger the picture, the stronger your memory. But what if you are in a real conversation and you don't have time to imagine? The person is speaking fast, and you don't want to slow down the conversation. How can you still understand? That's where our next strategy comes in. It's about using the conversation itself, listening not just to words, but to the whole message, the rhythm, the patterns. In part 5, we'll explore how to use conversation flow and patterns to understand new words naturally. This is the skill that makes you a confident English speaker, even when you don't know every word. So stay with me, because in the next part, you'll learn how to keep any conversation going, no matter what new words appear. In the last part, we learned about strategy number 4, using your imagination. We discovered that when you create pictures and little movies in your mind, new words become easier to guess and remember. Now let's move into strategy number 5, follow the conversation flow and patterns. Here's a little secret in real life. You don't need to understand every single word to understand a conversation. What matters more is the flow, the pattern, and the main message. Think about your native language. When your friends speak quickly, maybe you don't catch every word either, but you still understand the story, right? That's because your brain listens to the rhythm, the common phrases, the situation. You can do the same in English. Let me show you how this works. Imagine someone says, "I didn't get much sleep last night. I was tossing and turning all night long." Maybe the phrase tossing and turning is new for you, but do you really need to know the exact dictionary meaning? No. The flow tells you. They didn't get much sleep. They say they were tossing and turning. So it must mean moving in bed, not sleeping well. You understand enough to continue the conversation. Here's another example. Listen carefully. "I can't go out tonight. I'm broke." Maybe broke is new for you, but in the flow, it comes after "I can't go out." So broke probably means no money. And that's correct. Again, you don't need a dictionary, just the pattern. Let's bring Emily in for a short role play. "Emily, teacher, last week I was at a cafe. My friend said, 'I'm starving.' I didn't know the word starving, but because we were looking at the menu and talking about food, I guessed it meant very hungry. And I was right. Exactly, Emily. That's the power of conversation flow. You don't isolate the word, you connect it to the whole story. Now, I want to give you a small practice exercise. I'll give you 3 short conversations. Listen and try to guess the meaning of the new word just from the flow. Conversation 1. "Did you finish the project B?" "Not yet, I've been swamped." What does swamped mean here? The flow suggests being very busy. Correct. Conversation 2. A "Do you like spicy food?" B. "Not really, my stomach is sensitive." Even if sensitive is new, the flow shows it's about the stomach. So sensitive must mean easily upset. Conversation 3, a "How was the movie B?" "It was hilarious. I laughed so much." Here the flow makes it clear that hilarious means very funny. Did you notice something? You never stopped to open a dictionary. You just followed the flow of the conversation, and your brain guessed the meaning naturally. Now let's talk about why this works. English, like all languages, has patterns. Certain words usually appear in certain situations. For example, words like hungry, thirsty, starving, full appear in conversations about food. Words like tired, sleepy, exhausted, energetic appear in conversations about the body and feelings. When you know the topic, your brain can predict the type of words that will appear. This is called predictive listening, and it's a skill you can develop. Here's how to practice it. Listen to dialogues, podcasts, movies, TV shows. Pause when you hear a new word. Guess the meaning from the flow and situation. Check later if you want, but don't interrupt the conversation. The more you do this, the faster your brain will recognize patterns. I want to ask you now, have you ever guessed a word? Just from the topic of the conversation. Maybe you were talking about sports and someone said score and you guessed it was about points. Or maybe you were talking about weather and someone said humid and you guessed it meant hot and wet. Share your example in the comments below. Here's another tip: pay attention to common phrases. Some words often come together like fast food, make a mistake, catch a cold, do homework. These are called collocations. If you hear a word inside a common phrase, the whole phrase gives you the meaning. For example, catch a cold. If you don't know the word catch in this context, you might think it means grab, but in the flow of the phrase, it means get sick. The phrase itself carries the meaning. Now let's practice with a little game. I'll say a phrase with one new word. Try to guess the meaning from the flow. Phrase 1. She gave me a genuine smile. Even if genuine is new, the flow shows it's describing the smile. So it must mean real true. Phrase 2. He made a huge mistake. The word huge describes mistake, so it means very big. Phrase 3. The team celebrated their victory. The flow tells you it's something good after the game. So victory means win. See how your brain can guess from the flow. So let's review. Strategy number 5 is follow the conversation flow and patterns. Don't get stuck on one word. Look at the whole sentence, the topic, and the common phrases. Your brain is smart. Trust it. Now, in the next part, we're going to learn another strategy that is very practical in real conversations. It's about asking simple questions and confirming meaning directly with people. This is something many learners are afraid to do, but it's actually one of the fastest ways to understand and learn. So stay tuned because in part 6, I'll show you how to turn every unknown word into a learning opportunity without feeling embarrassed or nervous. In the last part, we explored strategy number 5, following the flow and patterns of conversation. You discovered that you don't need to understand every single word to stay connected. You can guess from the story, the topic, and the common phrases. Now let's talk about strategy number 6, ask and confirm. This is one of the most practical skills you can use in real conversations. And yet many learners don't use it. Why? Because they feel shy. They think, if I ask, people will know my English is not perfect, or I don't want to interrupt. But here's the truth. Native speakers don't mind. In fact, they respect you more when you ask, because it shows you are curious, engaged, and serious about understanding. So how do you do this without feeling embarrassed? The secret is to keep it simple. You don't need to give a long explanation. Just use short, natural phrases that fit into the conversation. Here are some examples. Sorry, what does that mean? Do you mean your guess? So is it like your example? Ah, does that mean? These are small, polite, and natural. They don't stop the conversation, they keep it moving. Let me show you how it works in a real dialogue. Emily, teacher, I remember my friend once said, "This movie is mind-blowing." I didn't know what that meant, so I asked, "Mind-blowing, does that mean very surprising?" She laughed and said, "Yes, exactly." And I learned a new word, exactly, Emily. That's the power of asking and confirming. Instead of pretending to understand, she asked a short question. Her friend explained, and she learned the word naturally. Now, I want you to notice something important. When you ask, you don't always need to say, "What does that mean?" You can also make a guess and confirm. For example, person, the test was brutal. You brutal, do you mean very difficult? Person, yes, exactly. See what happened? You guessed from the context, then checked. This way, you are practicing two skills, guessing and confirming. And you'll remember the word much better because you were part of the discovery. Let's practice with a quick role play. Imagine you're talking with me. I'll say a sentence with a new word. You try to ask and confirm. Ready? Sentence 1. That workout was intense. You intense. Do you mean very hard or strong? Yes, that's correct. Sentence 2. I was thrilled to hear the good news. You thrilled, does that mean very happy, perfect? Sentence 3. He lives in a remote village. You remote? Do you mean far away? Exactly right. See how natural it feels. You didn't need a dictionary. You just stayed in the conversation, asked, and learned. Now let's deal with the fear many learners have. Some of you may think, but what if I ask too many times? Will people get annoyed? Here's my answer. If you ask every single word, maybe yes. But if you choose carefully and only ask about important words, people will not mind. In fact, they'll enjoy helping you. Think of it this way. When you ask, you are giving the other person a chance to teach. And most people love to explain things. It makes them feel smart, helpful, and connected to you. So don't be afraid. Asking is not weakness. Asking is strength. Another tip, use your body language. If you hear a word you don't know, you can lean in, raise your eyebrows, and repeat the word as a question. For example, person, the concert was epic. You epic with a curious face. Person, yes, it means really amazing, really big. Sometimes just repeating the word with a questioning tone is enough. You don't even need a full sentence. Now, I want to ask you, the listener, what is one English word you learned? Because you asked someone directly. Can you remember? Write it in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else to be brave and ask too. Let me share a quick story from one of my students. She was working at a hotel, and a guest asked for an extra pillow. She didn't know the word pillow. Instead of guessing wrong, she asked politely, "Sorry, pillow. Do you mean something for sleeping?" The guest smiled and pointed to the pillow on the bed. She understood immediately, and after that day, she never forgot the word. That's how powerful asking can be. One short question can give you a word for life. So let's review. Strategy number 6 is ask and confirm. Don't be afraid. Use short, natural questions. Guess first if you can then confirm. This will not only help you understand new words, it will also make your conversations more interactive and fun. Now, in the next part, we're going to take everything we've learned and put it together into a daily practice routine. Because knowing the strategies is one thing, using them every day is what makes you fluent. I'll show you how to practice at home, how to practice with friends, and how to build habits that make English natural. So stay with me, because in part 7, we'll create your step-by-step plan to practice understanding any English word without a dictionary. So far, we've learned 6 strategies to understand any English word without a dictionary. Let's quickly review. 1. Look at the context. 2. Notice the situation. 3. Pay attention to tone and emotion. 4. Break down the word. 5. Follow the conversation flow. 6. Ask and confirm. These 6 strategies are like tools in your English toolbox. But here's the question. How do you actually use them every day so they become natural? That's where practice comes in. And today, I'll show you how to build a simple step-by-step routine that anyone can do, no matter how busy you are. First, let's talk about step 1. Choose your input. Your input is what you listen to or read in English. This could be YouTube videos, podcasts, news articles, movies, or conversations with friends. The key is pick something that is just a little above your level, not too easy, not too hard. If it's too easy, you won't learn. If it's too hard, you'll feel lost and frustrated. For example, Emily, what do you usually listen to in English? Emily, I like to listen to short podcasts about lifestyle and health. They are interesting and not too long. Perfect. That's a great choice. If you like it, you'll stay motivated. So, for step one, write down 2 or 3 things you enjoy in English, maybe a podcast, a YouTube channel, or even a TV show. Now, step two, listen actively for unknown words. When you hear a word you don't know, don't stop the video or run to a dictionary. Instead, practice one of the 6 strategies. Ask yourself, can I guess from the context? What's the situation? What's the tone? Can I break down the word? If you're talking to someone, can I ask and confirms? This is like a game. Each unknown word is a challenge, and your goal is to solve it without the dictionary. Step 3. Check and confirm later. After the conversation or after the video, if you still don't know the word, then check the dictionary. But notice now you're not just reading the definition, you're confirming what you already guessed. And that makes the word stick in your memory much faster. Let's do a quick example. Imagine you're listening to a podcast. The speaker says, "The meeting was postponed." You don't know postponed, but you hear the rest of the sentence. The meeting was postponed until next week. Now you can guess postponed means delayed or moved to a later time. You guessed it. Later you check in the dictionary, and yes, you were right. Now that word is yours forever. Step 4. Practice with role play. This is something I recommend to all my students. Take 5 minutes each day and create a short role play with yourself. Imagine a situation maybe at a restaurant at school or at work. Use a new word you learned and practice how you would guess its meaning or ask someone about it. For example, Emily, let's try this. Emily. Okay, imagine I'm in a cafe and someone says, "That cake is decadent." I don't know decadent. I can ask decadent. Do you mean very rich or sweet? And the person might say, "Yes, exactly." Perfect. By practicing this role play, Emily is preparing for real conversations. And when she meets the word again in real life, she'll know what to do. Step 5. Write a reflection journal. At the end of the day, take 5 minutes to write down 2 or 3 new words you discovered. Write how you guessed their meaning and how close you were to the real meaning. This reflection makes your brain stronger. You'll start noticing patterns in how English words are used. Here's what it might look like. Word epic. Guess very big or amazing. Confirmed correct. Word remote. Guess far away. Confirmed correct. Word decadent. Guess very rich or sweet. Confirmed correct. See, you're building your own personal dictionary, but not just with definitions. You're writing your experience of the word. That's what makes it unforgettable. Step 6. Celebrate progress. This part is so important. Many learners focus too much on what they don't know. But I want you to notice how much you do know. If yesterday you needed a dictionary every 5 minutes, and today you can understand most words without one, that is progress. Even small steps matter. So give yourself credit. Maybe you treat yourself to a nice coffee, or you share your success in the comments here on Engrammatic. Tell us, what new word did you understand today? Without a dictionary, I'd love to celebrate with you. Now let me give you a daily routine example. Morning. Listen to a 10-minute podcast on your way to work. Use strategies to guess unknown words. Afternoon. At lunch, role play one situation with yourself using a new word. Evening, watch a YouTube video in English. Write down 3 words you guessed. Before bed, write a reflection journal with your guesses and confirmations. That's less than 30 minutes total. But if you do it every day, you will transform your English. Emily, how does this routine sound to you? Emily. It sounds easy and fun. I think I can do this every day. Exactly. The key is consistency. You don't need to study 10 hours a day. You just need small daily practice. Over time, it becomes natural. Now, we're almost at the end of this video, but don't go anywhere yet. In the next and final part, I'll give you a powerful message to keep you motivated, plus a challenge you can start today. It's the final push to make English understanding part of your daily life forever. Now, I want to end with two things: a message of encouragement and a challenge. First, the encouragement. Many learners believe English is about memorizing thousands of words or spending hours with a dictionary. But that is not true. Real English is not about knowing every word, it's about communicating, connecting, and enjoying the process. You don't need to be perfect, you only need to be curious, confident, and consistent. Think about children. They don't carry dictionaries. They don't memorize word lists. They listen, they guess, they ask questions, and they practice every day. And before long, they are fluent. You can do the same. Now, the challenge. For the next 7 days, I want you to follow the daily routine we built in part 7. That means pick something to listen to or read in English every day. Practice guessing new words from the context. Ask and confirm if you're speaking with someone. Write in your reflection journal at night. Do this for 1 week, just 7 days. At the end of the week, look back at your journal. You will be amazed at how many words you now understand without ever opening a dictionary. And I want you to share your progress with me. Write in the comments. What word did you understand today without a dictionary? Tell me how you guessed it. I'll be reading the comments, and I'd love to hear your story. Emily, do you want to try this challenge too? Emily, yes. I'm excited. I want to test myself for 7 days and see how many new words I can understand. That's the spirit, Emily. And I hope everyone watching feels the same. Before we end, let me give you one more piece of advice. Be patient with yourself. Some days English will feel easy. Other days it will feel confusing. That's normal. Progress is not a straight line, it's a journey. But if you keep practicing, if you keep using these strategies, one day you'll realize something powerful. You don't need a dictionary anymore. You can understand English naturally, just like you understand your first language. So let's finish with a call to action. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next lesson here on Engrammatic. And don't forget to leave a comment with your 7-day challenge progress. I want to see how you are growing. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Remember, every word you learn brings you one step closer to confidence. Keep practicing, keep believing, and keep speaking. This is Engrammatic, and I'll see you in the next episode.